Thank you. Thank you. And then now motivation, because we normally question and answer session, we don't need the refuge. But today, the most of us, maybe all of us, has received the Bodhicitta vow from His Holiness. It's so fresh with us. So to bring that back once again, so let's do the Sangye Chazuma together. Maybe someone can do that in English 3 times.
Yes, Rinpoche. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings.
Okay. So now we are all Dharma brothers and sisters, and we received the vow from His Holiness this morning. And as I said, how beneficial, or His Holiness been very kind to bestow this precious lineage vow to us, and now are we capable to do this practice or not? Did we take this without not knowing much, or did we take it because everybody is taking it, or His Holiness forced us to take it? Those are the questions. Anyway, first, we are so fortunate because I'm not saying because I'm a Buddhist, I'm a practitioner, because there are so many religions in this world, but Buddha Dharma is the one what it talks about all the sentient beings. And then it is difficult in taking all the sentient beings in your aim or to goal to benefit. Even you cannot bring happiness in your own family. Even you cannot bring happiness to your own community. And then talking of the all sentient beings maybe too much. So why Buddha Dharma is talking about all the sentient beings, and is there a way to benefit all the sentient beings? That's the very big question. And one of the most biggest question it ever arises in me is whenever I think about Bodhicitta, it looks like I have to do it for all the sentient beings. But I never kind of feel very strong like there's my own benefit in there. And once I don't get this kind of a strength, like, yes, I have a fully confidence that thinking about all sentient beings, benefiting all the sentient beings, yes, that is your own, for your own welfare. once we have a confidence in there, then nobody has to tell you to generate bodhicitta. I'm speaking English now, so maybe Simon needs to help me. Maybe you didn't understand what I'm saying.
Carry on, Rinpoche.
제가 다시 위대한 부채기 가지고 쇼르베 다 장주스베 동바 경아절이야 토제조를 챔벽안에 다 말한절이야 아주 중구윤에면에 아주 특구윤에면에 람마기 다 지금 가르쳐 그래 이지 이렇게 현직 땜제 디그니스님도 아니 지금 완절이야 다 지금 라면 나의 연애면에 겨울은 뭐 지금 투기냠셰티 자주심들 같이 윤에 송도 제정아 자신부레스 아니 라에는 조금 야다 지금 자신부시다레스 이나야 겨울은 뭐지 개체슈지나야디 아니 전주심도 동반이디 지지하는 양도 지금 송도 대인도 전에다 디기 말한서 개체슈됐다 다른 겨울은 뭐지 전주심도 동반 남들까비야 아니 말한서 지금 손은 밤에 쌓여요. 다 손은 밤에 쌓여서 제제 손남디 주제. 에디기 라제 조제생도 손남기 진이수가 가리 라제 조고래. 가리 다 손남디 캐지가 저 가르치기 봤을 때 준비. 전주 생기 등번이기 나는 상된되니기 등바다 신된되니 등바세티. 되니 카체답 요만을 쓰지. 더드나 rangdun drumna chanju simpo kure shendun drumna chanju simpo kure sechi ta rangdun drumna chanju simpo shendun drumna chanju simpo do seti ajo pe chebagi ajo kelen turi ta ine rangdun yongsu zoba da rangdun tarshimbuji chebala chanju simpo kore seti nyarang rajumba zo dil len gyap tu yo ma de jazang ajo namsan henge de kago yo re 제가 개체슈디 다른 자원을 지금 송분하시 말한줄 단 전주 심디기 아니 체 딜레요 도마와 엘레 미기 이제마와 아날 하고도 전주 심 검소나 말한줄기 가서 그래 디고 망체지 쌓아야 돼 심진 벤지 쌓아요래 다 심진 탐제 되는 동행이 미지 차원도 좀 심진을 땜베기 디고 사세야 돼 하람 맵에서 차로 봐 제가 먼저 년도를 타본 대비네 전주심 공부했어 타본 대비네 전주심 공부를 탐제 진배 고반 토비네 전주심 공부했어 다 다른 식의 정보를 직송하시 알 하바도 겨울은 미치기 먼저 단다 dedication the prayer 나로 예배나 신체체 마음 속에 가버려 겨워군도 양다라마다 제메 취지 배라 롱주진 사단람디 윤데 rab존에 도지 창기 고반유도 쇼소에 되기나로네 아니 가서 저음에 취신 제메 취지 배라 롱주 취시 창주심도 송송 제장가 라마당 겨울은 지다 카마 테쇼 시몬람 겨바당 창주심도 남이야 카마 테쇼 본음 지고 지장이 있으시 다른 쇼 송송 제가 다디가 저기 가소래 도저 투를 녀버시 난고도 제 딜레이네 전주선 페버디 타지마추는 제시마다 치매치마를 팽그리슬람나 아주 캘렌섬시레 마도 딜레야 이질리만 봐 어디 사면라 돌도주 송로나
And so today we've taken the Bodhisattva vows from His Holiness, and whatever is the situation between all of the people who have attended the teachings, and whether everyone has fully attained the Bodhisattva vows or not, I'm sure that in His Holiness there is the complete bodhicitta in His Holiness's mind. I mean, he this is a person who meditates again, it continually meditates on deity yoga and tantric deity yoga practices. So there's no question that His Holiness has the complete and perfect bodhicitta from his side. And so His Holiness again and again, stresses the importance of bodhicitta, and in receiving this Bodhisattva vow from His Holiness today, we've accumulated inconceivable merit. And this merit acts as a cause. Now, we talk about Lakche Dzogche, so leaving down the imprints for things in the future, and why does this this kind of inconceivable merit leaving imprints for as a causal imprints for the future? The primary thing that it in relation to this is the two the purpose or welfare of ourselves and the purpose and welfare of others, and these two welfares or purposes cannot be separated, and in fact both are needed in our progress. But why is that the case? Because we could probably accept that if we think about it, that working towards perfecting the purpose or the welfare of others is something we can probably understand in the context of bodhicitta, but it's more difficult for us to think about how we integrate our own welfare, our own purpose into that, and so that's an answer that it's actually a little bit difficult for us to think to answer, and we need to think about that question of how we need to complete both of the welfares or purposes, ourselves and others, and so. If we think, we also, the benefits that come from taking this Bodhisattva vow, if we think about, we need to be able to see the benefits, we need to be able to see the benefits in this life as in order to develop trusting faith. We also have to see some benefit coming from developing the sense of bodhicitta, and if we think about that, so bodhicitta is a mind working, for the welfare of all sentient beings, and then most of the negative actions that we engage in are in relation to other sentient beings. So therefore, if we cultivate bodhicitta, then it's very hard to see how it would be possible to further engage in these kind of negative actions in relation to other sentient beings when we have that mind wishing to work for the welfare of all sentient beings. And so this bodhicitta is required. It's required to even try, all the way up to complete enlightenment. Working, getting kind of free from birth in the lower realms, and all the way up to full Buddhahood. Then it's extremely beneficial to meditate on this bodhicitta. 물론데 카리레름시티
개wak분도 세주바 아주 뭐 dedication prayer 나로라 드리치미도에 아주 그 개wak분도 양달라마다 세티 제메 추지벨라 롱주지.
Just find it in the dedication prayers that we recite. There's a prayer. I'll just find. Sorry, I can't get the words off the. Here we are. Dedication. Yeah. So dedication prayers. Sorry. And so it says. Do some shipping. Number 3, yes. So it's the third one.
Number 3 is sharp. In my
third prayer, prayers. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. And so in the first line it says, in all my lives never separated from perfect gurus. So this is from the Buddha, from the Buddhas and from the Lamas. We wish to be not separated from the gurus and the Buddha, and so this is and so in this
이거를 미치기 재산가 전주 셈다 아니 카마 제비기 지기 뭐라면 야고 딱 수수 강 도도 냠는 제비나 엔 재산가 겨고도 양다라마상 세비가블 데메 쉬디벨라 롱주 진선 저와메 봤어야 돼 라마단 저와메 비기 최세야 돼 쉐디 아니 전주 셈는 거지 나서 들으셔
not so when it says in all my lives may I never be separated from perfect grooves and may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. The magnificent Dharma that we're referring to, very specifically, we want to be also never separated from being able to cultivate bodhicitta. So in the second line, when it says may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma, we can also refer that, you know, in relation to receiving the Bodhisattva vows today and cultivating bodhicitta. That's the magnificent Dharma that we wish not to be separated from. So if we are not able to see the benefits that bodhicitta starts to bring us within just this very life, then it'll be very difficult for us to further cultivate trusting faith in the qualities of these kind of things. So we have to also be able to look at the benefits as they accrue to us in this life.
어디지? 다 되는 세상가 아주 전주 셈스도 삼보단이 개침부르데 다 개치슈럽데 아란주 세상가 전주 셈마디고 공연이야 아니 양치기 원조도 마소네 원로 로고에디 가르쳐고도 슬라나 아란주로 강요비 닝지디 야게단에 타비쳐고 와 닝지 야게단에 타비쳐발라 아니 세상가 자위에다 지기 아란주로 닝지 삽도 마제베 제베 타비쳐고예요 말 닝지 요여버리 닝지 디기 아니 그래서 우리 심진 담지 동년대 전에 지마롱 녀베 로치 심진 쳐다바지 동년대 전에 지마롱 녀베 로디 벨샤체 아니 대단 된다고 심진 따지기 때문에 공부받을 때 좋상으로 아니 지금 탈주 주연아 세야디 저장가 전주 셈기나로 dimbo니 숭배나로네 신den드니 dim바다 란덴드니 dim바스데 또 신den드니 그 dim바데 닝지 전부디 그래도 왔다 쪼디 저장가 닝지 전부디 심진 동년대 전에 지모로 세제 아니 동년대 저와 다가 차고 냐베 로딩데 아니 닝지 친구세 들리고 봐. 저장가 따띵 아주 탑시디체 디슈들 아니 가서 그래 심진 탐지기 돈도 아니 저be 산지주 고반딩에 마토나 아니 신den집에 따 신den집에 커버레샤 제시도 아니 산지 심진 탐지기 돈다로 산지주 고반 두고 있을라도 또 전주 심진한 창로 봐. 저장가 닝지 년이야 도지 열게 마땅마토나 닝지 마냐메 탑시직 닝지 공부에도 당해 탑시직 아니 되네 지게 산지기 연된도 저 양내 양도 첨벌지 또 산지기 연된 대로버 증화를 여베는 예심진 된 체토로 나도 신 전자원인의 제 탑시면도 있습니다. 세상의 양내 양도 전고에 개침버시.
And so in terms of cultivating bodhicitta and one of the very important factors that in our cultivation of bodhicitta is to think about what are the kind of preliminaries or the preparatory stages which need to occur in order for us to develop bodhicitta. And what is needed is a method which gives us the ability to increase our compassion. Now, compassion is not something completely new to us. It's something we're aware of, and you can take, you can start, you know, compassion, which wishes that sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from their suffering. And you can take it as an example, one sentient, just taking it on the basis of one sentient being, which would qualify as thinking of compassion and think how they are protectorless, and that they have this kind of suffering. And that has to precede the bodhicitta. And when we talk about the two aspirations, the aspiration in terms of our own purpose or welfare, and the aspiration in terms of other purpose, then compassion would qualify in the category of the aspiration for the welfare of others. And if we are able to develop the sense in which not only that we wish that sentient beings be free of suffering, but that we wish that sentient beings, that I will personally take responsibility for helping them to be liberated from their suffering, then this is the practice of great compassion. And then we imagine, well, we have to try to do that for all sentient beings. And without attaining Buddhahood, it's impossible to imagine how we would be able to work that way, work to remove all the suffering of all sentient beings without wishing to attain Buddhahood. And then when we bring in that aspect of, we have the great compassion where you're taking responsibility for all sentient beings to be free from suffering. And then this kind of qualification of, I wish to attain Buddhahood in order to, and that essentially kind of qualifies as a bodhicitta. And so, without compassion, first, we have to, so the compassion is the core. We have to make sure that we engage in methods which increase that compassion, and also with things which prevent that compassion from deteriorating or declining. And then contemplate and bring to mind the qualities of, again and again, the qualities of the Buddha, and then imagining how there's no other way that I could do what I wish to do, which is to remove the other suffering, unless I were to attain, that state of complete enlightenment with all those qualities.
Rangdun tenye dang shendun tenye se rangdun de ya chugu topu du shendun lo sugu topu se du ko yawaji de geyo mare chugu diri sugu diri yawaji de geyo mare de yana samlo dang dang ji ge ani da semdi chuni ge dingdo zheji du nyambar shaji lar mi dang chuji nyambar ji sham ma tu na ani semjin tamji ge tön yong so ba jing chi tu mare ti ta chu da di chiwa chimbu shibure 다 디인도 좀 개체슈디 아니 심 춘이를 짜지도 뭐 라 메다메 주냐 버 샤세디 춘이세디 다 간사게 다음에 봐什么 동반이 된디 시행원도 좀 다 심진기 텐션에 안에 수수 코알리 타바이너리 아니 다지기 벌써래 리얼리티 세야들 받아 동반이 세야디 최탐지기 인루 가르제도 스티야고 지지 인루 코랑 워시마시나 아니 줄그리 세지 이거는 전에 나추기 깨져 동반이 세야데 또 싸워도지 소르고 여러마도 오늘 전에 제비나 거기에 싸워 게려면 누가 이 그런 강 임바데 깨지 세야지래도마도 대신에 나와산 제비가 산지 좀 된데 동반이 세냐데 지수 전주 셈데 지수에서 되게 제려면 누가 이거는 코랑 무니주도 준비 계절에도 그러나 디인도 잡았다 지난주에 먼저다 로정나니에다 아니 얌내나니에다 데려봐 저상가 인지민지기 지난주 코르들의 성부 유지리 저상가 동번이다 전주 셈세 그래서 그러나 동번이 손으로 차셔는 최탐지기 인도 관계지 시도 셈베 인도디 코랑기 문에도 차를 용해지고 디 나와나 신주 여담에 시도 다제체 로데려야 아니 제바 분들 전에 코랑기 뇌에 또 수여비나 아니 랑은의 여바세 기제들이 랑은의 여바이나 아니 직직 파텐 추대세 인중세 된 대답변 냠주도 와 더디니도 시시 공부시지 봐 인중 켈렌 차비 쇼라 랑와와 와 수도 랑와와디 켈렌도 말에 수도 랑와와 켈렌 도나 아니 인중 켈렌 도 말에 단디 아주 이지미지베 저게 깔리시오디하고 해면도 데이터베 삼로 땅에 가로 코르고도 와라는 줄. 어떤 레지기 로들이야. 아니 공지된지. 다 저거 단다 드링 니마디 저 치쇼도 가르서는 전주 쌤 가지고 면치기 인식이 거래. 엔저 점에 전주 쌤 공부이나 현대 단 자타부터 이내 랑드 디나로라 장대 용서 줘버지 컨텐츠 처리돼 세야지 땡아주 줘버지 렌잡 투고 다디 줘버지 렌잡투나 아니 랑진진 여다 아니 단답하도 아주 랑진진 여버지기 아주 즉 수수 아주 띵주로 마소네 니 마스니 자침부 인바당 신랑다 신이 나는 랑조인세디 슈잡에 들렸더니 아주 단답하도 tenshimbuji chema tuwe dire songo tuwa chidang tanashuwa jawara mochigi. Da rangda shingi nani shen zogo chebal teni ane rangda yonsu zogoji da drup tubaji sanje chumden digi nang tubara nga ju che tuwa mara chidang tuba shingi tunze dang ane chiba nigi barulu kebar tuyos sanje gi nang ya dang ane chiba susu gibugi che nigi barulu kebar chidda dansi haku udu wara sechi junju nang lora chigdi ligduwa chidang desu ane chananzu 공부지 시제 전주의 심지 깨베체 상계주 고방지 톱톱이나 현대요래 랑등량 요랬어 랑등 현대어서 좀 랑등 샬러 줍어야 돼 아니 겨울은 뭐지기 참래 오늘 전에 랑등 오늘 전에 뷰타고 줍니다 전주 선발에서 송도와 랑등 야고 줍니다 가지고 싸우는 송금이도 먼저 랑등 좀 쉬고요 신 여어토를 랑 제버진디 아주 랑 진진디 배도 고바 아니 배지게 남다 쉽지를 했었어 다지다 어디죠 아주 삼로 당기 제시 그러나 아니 딜러야다 내배 잡지 아니 말아서 초사 소놈사 답변 들은 잡을 정어선 그렇지야 등기 기와서 뭐다데 삼로도 거지 땅 투비는 쉽지군에 짜다 전부를 그래도 와땅 아주 개치슈디 딘디지 좀난 죽기 요르베스 다 아주 나가간 도마티에 디트와 치쇼들이 상계주 고방지 좀난 죽기 요르베 니모방 라 메다위 수주 뻥주 요르베스 다도 저거 쇼춤 보시보세 다도 저거 딜렘 게마토나 양 아주 디레 전주심 돈바다 나그 돈바다 안 소다그 돈바도 저 양슈 양냠 도스토데 트레도와 그장아디 내가 전부 시작성부터 능에 다 다갔어
So in terms of the bodhicitta, again, we talk about these two purposes: the purpose of our of others and our purpose for our own purpose, and we they actually go together. So we don't need to differentiate between them too much because they will go together, but in what we have to think about is it can't be possible that I can perform work for the welfare of all sentient beings of other sentient beings unless I am able to enter into the metaphysical poison emptiness from which I will never then come out of again. So which can't be, which is irreversible, the irreversible engagement with the direct meditative equipoise on emptiness. And so actually, this profound emptiness, so this is for, in order to achieve both of those welfares. So this profound emptiness, this is a big question, of course, but this profound emptiness is not something, it's just the basic state of things. It's the reality. It's the way things are. We even talk about the emptiness of emptiness. And so it's not something that the Buddha made up. The Buddha didn't sort of come along and create bodhicitta and emptiness. The sort of empty nature, the empty kind of real nature, the actual way that things exist, that it was already there. And so we have to check this appearance from. So we're all students of, many of us have studied for a long time about bodhicitta and emptiness, and we have all the conditions to be able to do this. And from our own side, we need to check. We as students need to look at into this question of the reality. If things exist from their own side, things appear to exist from their own side, and so we need to check whether things could actually exist from their own side. If they were to exist from their own side, there would be no way for them to have any form of relation to other phenomena. So then you would lose the presentation of dependent origination. So that independent, solid, unrelated kind of existence cannot is inconcordant, cannot fit together with an understanding of dependent origination, of the way things function. So, and it's possible for us to get a little bit of an understanding of this topic. It's not so, we're all students who've been, many of us have been around. It's not so difficult for us with familiarization. It's not so difficult for us to get a handle on this. And again, I go back to this topic in bodhicitta and meditation on bodhicitta. If we're meditating on bodhicitta, then there's this. It's obvious that we help with the welfare of other sentient beings. But what is it? We have to be able to answer the question of how this also helps us in our own purpose and our own welfare. And we're not, when we're talking about our own welfare, we're not talking about the self-cherishing. We're not talking about, we have a general state where we kind of think of me, and we have, me, myself, and a kind of overconfidence in ourselves. And it's not like that at all. What we're saying is that in the process of developing bodhicitta and working towards Buddhahood, we're mainly working. The primary purpose is to work for the welfare of others. But what happens in the process of that is that all of our own aims are fully achieved as well. And so it says in Shantideva, it says look at those who work for their own welfare, and look at those who work the ordinary sentient beings who work for their own, specifically for their own welfare, and look at the Buddhas who work for the welfare of others, and take a look at the difference between them. So this kind of so the best form of our own welfare is meditating on, is working for the welfare of others, and implicitly in working for the welfare of others, our own welfare is kind of implicitly occurs. So if we want to, self-cherishing ends up being a really stupid thing, because it doesn't actually fully complete our own welfare. And so today, so think about these things. Today is a day of tremendous, to develop tremendous merit. It's the 15th day of the first Tibetan month, and it's an opportunity to accumulate tremendous merit. So I'm encouraging you to think about these things, and that's why that's why I've just said what I wanted to say. So it's for all the otherwise, if we don't think about this, what happens is that, however, whether we take individual liberation vows, bodhisattva vows, or tantric vows, but what happens to us is that we request them from the Lama, and then they decline very quickly. And so I think the reason that I've said all of this that I've said here today is in order to make us think about what's the main really are.
What did you see? Today, catch you should be the jungle which he decisions one. Chanju Dongbani but to Dinik Namsha Yabuji Shenche, Ane Tandam Dembegi, Donigi Namsha Yabu Shentumna, the Chanju Simki, Ane Silkora did the distance one. Galenching dropped him. Gauramachi, Galenye. Galenching Ane Dongbani Dirishas. Chanju Sim Temboyang, Galenching responsibility could carry out of the Dongbani Dirisha. Shazanga Manjuki Kasan da Re Kasan General Kijachumashi. Shazanga Tanda Kiru Michigi Tanda teaching Ribitazona Rolia, Shazanga Lujunda, Luktu Nisubina Rone, and Lujung Shimbegi, and Koali Injungi Chida, lukdo shimba digi ani taba tuju yode me ana ninjung sinye digi ani ninjung ki tile ya mixi kwa dingre sechi tile ji sungpa nashi tile jawar buchigi sungju qabla ya chazanga tongpa nidi chanju ki simki ta gyabden se nemidu chanju ki simki ta kunjung tsikrang songya di chazanga genlen chini si sungswa 어디 당하는지 안에 양도 아니 공부해야지 디고도 다 개체슈디 드린 전주 심 깨는 송데 강 도도 전주 심 마냠지 송세나 오해셔 잡으르데 개체슈디 전주 심 깨지 수수줄에 캡상 가르도 세디다 제오르다 개체슈 디 여러분이 켈레나서 당에 마치랑지 캡상람나 여러분이 체도 지기에서 시작으로 다 전주 쌤디 깨는 송데 당원에 전에배 쇼지기 다 군군군 경고를 미치 군군에 가지고 된 수지 아니 이 미즈리 두어 디드로소스 디드로토부도스 아 쌤된 제비는 두어 디단디 로고미도스 제제니 라메 군군을 짜르치 케네딘디 주변에 삼로코 도면도 안 가네지 안 갈리가데 마게 번함 제주지 겨와냥 보면 봐요 어느 공내 공도 페버 쇼세 리그를 봐 셰 당한 주변은 망고지 전주심 동부 능도 수장체 아니 라가견이 마체체 고 그래서 우리 캘린디 망고치체 아니 아니 맞아 디야 가서 우리 장난선도 쇼르체 디체에 있나요 최대 쇼르스네 디 두자도가 아니 두점에 강투도 최대 쇼르스로 최대 쇼르스도 다 최워슈 아니 최들이야 이지스피라면서 아니 este, 아니 내가 싫어하면 집체 또 우스토데 집이나 아니 저 가서 진행비네 아니 내가 장난 쇼제니 페마토니 차소나 아니 양 데스투자도 하지 셈바도 두자 차도로 예상아 이제 민지 아니 잔자 마제반 깨주지 깨와님 보면 공내 공도 배우쇼 시대 인도다 다 준주 여부스부도 준주 레고 투디 당부 숨다 시다 안 되네말 하만 참말로 전주에서 마제바 기비셔도다 개보 공내 공도 배기 다 들 슝들을 하고 요말 봐 본주 양내 순도 근데 상관은 지난주 배다 섭산하고 나서 다 추로야 된다 그래서 우리 레고셔야지 알아이네 강도지도 제사체
Yeah. And so in His Holiness's teachings today, His Holiness stressed a very important point about the relationship between emptiness and bodhicitta, and he used the word gelin to mean a sort of the ultimate understanding the two truths, and particularly within the two truths, the ultimate truth. Help is a kind of the emptiness or the ultimate truth kind of takes a kind of responsibility or supporting role, a very important supporting role for the development of bodhicitta, and so it very strongly stresses that link between the understanding of the nature of reality and the development of bodhicitta. In the last class, when we were in Ketub J's commentary on Dharmakirti, the Ocean of Reasoning, and it talks about the forward sequence of developing trust that the Buddha is a valid teacher, and then the reverse sequence. And in the forward sequence, it also there's because look chung becomes the yichung yichung
로중 인중체 인중체 되는 예버든 인중으로 봐 인중제 연도점에 타바체메도 그랬어요 주도와
So in the reverse sequence that we were discussing, then there's the first of all the development of the understanding of the kind of disgust or disillusionment with samsara, and then also the topic of whether it's actually possible to achieve liberation or not, and in order to develop proper renunciation, to be able to validly, really validly cognize the existence of liberation itself, whether it exists or not. So examining that and try to get an understanding of it with valid cognition, and so that topic is very closely related with this wholeness, talking about the relationship of of bodhicitta held within the kind of responsibility of emptiness. And so there's a very strong link. So please think about what I said there again in relation to his wholeness. Having taken the vows of bodhicitta, and we have to find a way to hold them so that they don't decline. And the way to do this is to think about what are the benefits. We have to. It's very important for us to remember the qualities and benefits in order for us in order for the bodhicitta to not decline within us. And so, there's these verses which talk about, where bodhicitta has not arisen, may it arise, may it, not decline, and may it increase, may it not, where it is arisen, may it not decline, and where it is, and then may it increase and more and more. And so this is, it's not good enough for us to kind of, without a sort of, it's not good enough for us to just kind of treat it in a very casual way, where our practices becomes weak, and we really, it's almost like a lip service, so that we don't really have a full concern or trust about and slowly the practices will decline if we're not able to see not able to see the benefits of what we're doing, and we just take, and a lama bestows the vows, but we don't really engage in the practices properly. Then slowly we lose our kind of interest or a trust in the efficacy of the practices, and so we need to remember those verses, where it has not been, where bodhicitta has not arisen, may it arise, where it has arisen, may it not decline and increase more and more. And because Shantideva digi ko leu tamboshi saying by leu tamboshi.
The liu question job in the Chanju sem Majeva to liu Tsenshab 아니 마제버 제베치도 개바 냠바 메바다 아니 코네콘도 페버시지 숨도 시지 나로라 리우차상 리우고도.
Yeah, so if you divide up the Bodhisattva, Shantideva's Bodhisattva Charyavatara, you can actually divide the entire text into these three categories of where bodhicitta has not been developed before, may it be developed, where it is developed, may it not decline, and may it increase further and further. And the entire text of Shantideva can actually be subsumed within those three categories. So please, don't allow your practice to become that way where you it starts to become the meaning is lost from it, and the practice declines. And I will also do my best from my side to continue to practice like this all the time. So.
Okay, so then most important, we should have a kind of a pride that now from today, as I am the follower of Buddha Shakyamuni and a student of His Holiness, and received very the precious bodhicitta, which with this practice the Buddha has got fully enlightened, and all the great masters reached to the fully enlightenment due to this practice. So now I got this opportunity. So yes, I am ordinary, but now from this day on, I cannot surrender myself to the negative emotions and self-cherishing. Now I have to overcome this, because I have the weapon which I can overcome with this bodhicitta, and the support of the bodhicitta is the emptiness. So we shouldn't be really sensitive, very sensitive. We shouldn't cry we shouldn't complain very quickly, because if we cannot overcome these small things, and then how you can overcome the whole suffering and whole universe and whole sentient being, then you should feel like, no, yeah, I can deal with this. So you calm yourself down with having the strong motivation of bodhicitta. I fail, we will fail, but we should never give up. We must, in Tibetan, they have a very good way of saying, the person doesn't have a chew with who doesn't have a teeth. So they have to chew with their gums. It's very so we should do it. There's no other choices now. So let's do it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now there are like 2-3 questions, right? So
Yes,
there, I already got one question, which is a very good question. I like it very much. Simon, do you want to?
We were going to get we were going to get the people who sent the questions to ask it. I think that's better. It's nicer if we do that.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Anita is the first question.
Yeah, Anita is the
And then I'll clarify if it's not clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Anita ji, can you unmute yourself,
Yes.
please?
Thank you, Rinpoche, for these wonderful teachings, and I hope you're feeling better today. My question is about the third and fourth aspects of the first noble truth of suffering. My understanding was that the third aspect, selflessness, actually both of them were in the context of selflessness of person, selflessness being the subtle selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, and emptiness being the selflessness, the gross selflessness of permanent unitary independent self. But reading Gyaltsab J's commentary on Pramanavartika, he seems to explain it a little differently. So he looks at it from the aspect of rejection of the object of negation. So he says that the aggregates are not of the same nature as the independent self, as they are under the power of causes. And for emptiness, he says aggregates are not of a different nature from the independent self. As if they were like that, then he would have been able to perceive it. So I just wanted an explanation from you as to which one and how this is. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a really very profound question and very hard one. And that's Simon, and we talked a little bit about. That's why Simon is here, because of this question. Just kidding.
That's the only reason.
Your question directs Simon to my house. 재산 갖다 패신 이거 아주 개발치하고 매도 람주 단다 emptiness에 줘봐 저장과 대 emptiness에도 좀 강사 담에랑 삼았던 거고 이래 최기 담에를 삼았던 단다 최기 담에서 줘봐 최기 담에 조 삼았던 제 조 강사 담에랑 삼았던 거고 이래 저단다 도심 투명 얘기 연주책으로 봐 연주장배 단다 개첩지기 송도 스타일 연주장배 가상 아주 감이 쉬운 시 풍부디 미다바리스 다 풍부 미다바이 년에 미다바스에 미다바 캡처를 당치 그러봐 그 요도르의 세계지만 요도 당 계산 오 고랑 가상 오다 드링 경우 고랑 아니 배 로가 차버리세요 미다바 참어치도가 삼로 당다치 디삼로디 코스비 슈라 아니 균 가사스니디 풍부의 최점 풍부 균점실에 있어요. 다 삼로들에 고르바. 다들리도 잠베 디삼로 코야디 다 가사스니디 풍부를 록수요 말에 세 삼로디 따와들래 온도 잠베 다 저들을 랭 가르치고 도보 가르치고 수도 잠베 단다 동바 레스 가리 동바를 쓰도 온 유업이 다 된심이 비슷 제상가 떠지 랑완진기 다디 풍부를 온 주니디 삼았던 거도와 대인도 좀 풍부를 온 주니에게 강사된 듯이 요 말했어 가전서나 풍부를 넣어서 강사하라 샤야면도 와 슬라운드 선배 따다 들려야 아니 온 유업이 다 된심이 비슷 저들은 뒤져 디단 데르 토니 아니 다 매버인데 시도다 근데 딱 봐도 랑와 직부기 된게 매주 잠배 다 랑와베다 오머를 풍부코라 아 가자 강사디 아니 풍부레베 타지도 로가샤에 캐캐요 말했어야지 또 콜라야 고와 또 총당에 연나마도 신 고와 도시부리 운이니가로 제장관 남셔준도 저기 전부 군다 케비치도다 지 현재 케비치도 레스도 송되게 여러데 이내 개체슈디 삼로당당 시대 도요다 보니 또 지금 고할 도스로가 잡초고 있으리 따딩이 세우랑 공도 이내야 개체슈디 당한저 제장관 미다과 동해원이 슈들이야 저거디 갈리겠으나 원하다 강사선이 되니 간대지를 했어야 돼 저들이로 와. 다 강사선이디 한 풍부 코로나 샤야레스. 다 재산가 제라모 도데버 셈점보 우마틴주 봐도 차상게 강사 풍부를 제지 풍부는 제지 샤고를 해야지. 다른데 니주여를 해야 돼. 소도와. 재산가 치료 받아서 강사 풍부를 했으나 전에 로디 옵션인 거예요, 말이에요. 저절로 대오미요에 가르쳐는 미답에 고와 첨문디기 최소한 배상. 삼로당당 직도 와야. 다 샴바에냐 거 용초로 봐. 상우들이 공부 시험이나 년이야 미답하다 동네비 슈르야 동안송. 아니 동안도 송처비 슈르라 아니 다음에 받디. 아니 또 템부시 차로 봐. 제상가 전부 군다 등에 이렇게 얘네 랭기기 신유디 아니 그래 랭기기 신유디 아니 마수인 중요하게 다 배전이 받으러 당보디 군다 그치 니버디 랭기기 있잖아 지금에로 배전 늘지 송나 지금 이지리
니콜라 되죠
라
니콜라 랑게 제 투비 통외래 얘네 치 랭기 치 군다
랑게 떠지 랑완진 랑 송는 야가 요죠 다 강사 랑게 투비 지유 동안디 디나로 탄다 루는 지구 유네면 디세우식입니다 고아타로 당기 유네면 this we need to I cannot say yes and no because it's my doubt and I cannot say this is right or wrong right 제상가 떠지 랑완진 그 동안세티 제상가 랑게 투비 지유 동안슬랍도 잠베 텔레 제가 쇼치무쇼라지 이 랑제트비 제유 동안세디 삼로당당디 양 믹세치기 고요리 디 양 어디나 들었다 뭐가 지시나
So I think it's an excellent question. I think what we so yeah here essentially when we're talking about the aspects of the empty aspect and the selfless aspect of the first noble truth is the truth of suffering. We're essentially we're not really covering the selflessness of phenomena. It's primarily related to the selflessness of persons in this context, and also you've got to remember that this is in the context Dharmakirti is talking in the context of a common link between a common kind of tenet system between Sautantrika and Chittamata in the mind only, and the Sautantrika school. So that's the one context. And yesterday when we were talking about Gyaltsab Jayam, we were talking about the aggregates in terms of impermanence, and where we said that we have to, have this bigger understanding of impermanence, in the sense that a bigger view of impermanence, not just that sense of how death is uncertain, and we're going to die, and the time of death is uncertain, but that sense in which the very nature of the person yesterday is not found is not the nature of the person today, and so that subtle form of emptiness, subtle form of impermanence, and that's strongly connected with what's going on in these third and fourth aspect of the First Noble Truth. So in these 10 systems, is often some of the scholars will say that the person is the mere continuum of the aggregates. It's said like that, and definitely that it's not separate from the aggregates. And then the doubt that if you have what they're saying is that if the self is not separate from the aggregate, then it's not possible to have like a controller of the aggregates, because that controller of the aggregates will essentially become of another entity, of another nature from the aggregates. If it's the controller, it wouldn't be subsumed within the aggregates. And so we're talking about so I think that here we're kind of in I'm not sure that we can posit a subtle difference, a difference of subtlety between the aspect of empty and the aspect of being selfless, because whether I say that because I have a doubt about it, and if I have a doubt about it, it's not possible for me to say to you, oh, well, this is how it is. And if we draw in the element of not just a permanent, partless, independent, being empty of a permanent, partless, independent self, but being empty of an autonomous, substantially existent self, then there's a huge debate that comes in here. And I myself have not cleared up the debate in my mind, so I prefer not to go into it. So I would take these two aspects more in terms of just thinking about being empty of a permanent, partless, unitary, permanent, independent, unitary self. And I wonder whether it might be that the difference is here made. It's possible. I'm not saying that this is exactly how it is, but it's possible that it's made on the basis of one, which is innate, the innate grasping, and therefore the removal of that innate grasping, and the other on a kind of intellectually contrived level. What's very important here is that also we have to remember the relationship between these last two aspects and the first two aspects of impermanence and suffering. We're still saying here that it's found within the aggregates, right? So we're not saying that. So the outsiders, so this permanent, independent, unitary self, not being found is, for the outsider schools, they can't find a way to posit the aggregates as being included within the self, and the reason is that when you go up to the Prasangika school, you find that the aggregate, the person is not found in the aggregates on search. When you on a kind of ultimate analysis, when you look for the person, it's not found within the aggregates. But here we'd still be saying it's included within the aggregates, so it's not of a separate nature with the aggregates. Whereas you have the non-Buddhist outsider schools who can't find a way, because as we mentioned yesterday, it's very difficult for them to find. They can't understand the subtle presentation of impermanence, and therefore that the nature of yesterday's self is not the nature of this self. They have problems positing a continuum, and therefore they find it extremely uncomfortable to think of the self as included within the aggregates, and so that kind of self is the one that I think is basically being refuted here. And And perhaps, I'm not saying this definitively, but I think that perhaps the division is made in terms of the sort of the understanding based in relation to the innate grasping, or based in terms of the contrived grasping. But there's a lot of debate about these things, so I'm careful what I say.
If it's a debate ground, then Anita can debate with me, and then I will hold the position very strongly. But because this is not a debate ground, I have to be very honest. So next time when we meet, I hold the position, and then you debate with me, and let's see how it goes. Thank you. This is a really interesting and a very inspirational question.
디 나도 최선 소디기 폼불에 든 셈비다 라운 다시 라운기다 대기 통화다 통화는 다음에 그 생계당 군다기 패치 제보마서 된데 패치 제보 요즘아
디 제바체 지금 에레선 없지도 다 숑렀다나 다 이네들 사바 잡나 다 셰토 말봐 세상 디나로를 제가 튼디 좀 되면 와 안 세상한테 드시시다 잡토 말봐 세상 디 삼로당당 됐죠.
Just giving you a very short explanation.
So if in future if I get a clear answer, or if you get a clear answer, let's share each other. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Most
question is Lobsang Dunyo.
And thank you very much, Rinpoche, for your really especially detailed, profound explanations, which I think most of us are in very much need of and don't often receive. So just first of all, thanking you. Maybe the question itself, to get the terminology, to make sure you're understanding what I'm referring to, I'll ask in Tibetan.
Yeah.
It's okay?
Okay.
Kasang Rinpoche Kasang Rinpoche Kunigi that Nyanjung Unzum Kebalas, Hakton Keba Mundu Dogoris, Hakton Kebalas, Ani Zimba Shukshambogoris, Nacha Shukshambogoris, Panamitaba Zimba Shukshambo, Sana, Ani Chikunsen Draminazo, Gune, Cheba Mambo Jene, Zimba Shukcheru Dogoris, Chezang, Danakak Narcha Shukshambo, Zimba Shukshambo, Shape Tunda Gariris. Any the to shut up Shukshambo, shut up Shukchechungi Kebaribis, Zimba Shukchechun and a shut up Shukchechun Kebaribis. Any the chat duela Chanivasana, any Nudging Unsum, the Nudging Unsum Sanare, Yigging Unsum Sanare, to take Dunji, now a ditching my noob ne, and you saw now. Nojang Unsum Kebalas, you know, Yigging Unsum Kebalas, and that Shine Tamla, then that you that she that Mitapa and a Metapa Zimbig Bombadi, she that Gun sing ne. Ani 다가나 요 서로 줘야 돼 쌈나테네 아니 이게 운송 영나 녀저 운송 가르제니 깨기 말이스 가르제니 양 제pache야 디 가르제니 제pache야 디 고고레스 제pache야 디 고 장고베 균생 가르레스
Oh, okay. Tushita, another award-winning question. I should give you an Oscar. Just kidding. It's really good. Thank you. This I brought up this topic to enlighten you all. So thank you for holding this opportunity for everyone. And 세상가다 저거딩이야 그런저 I think you have to translate the question.
I put the main because.
Oh, you did? Okay, then it's okay. It's on the what we call it in the chart.
Yeah,
okay.
Not exact, but it's close to what.
Okay. 다 제상가 개체슈 등은 삼루디 코고와 로깅 арчасэти 제상가 아니 동반일이야 아니 냠바 샤긴 시지 동반일도 냠바 샤데비나 대와 제 삼루 마당제도 대대비나 아니 먼저 디기 삼루 디기 뇽문총을 땅 도로 베스 뇽문총 땅 도로 베스 뇽문총으로 땅야라 말한주 남주다 베졌다 뇽년도죠 등진세야디 아니 등진 담에 또 비셔럽다 등진이 진당 모습 개별로레스 진당 모습 개별로기 파수 내전내지 기지 시기도와 내전내지 기지 시원도 잠배 아니 차랑이 기지 시기나시 차부디 슈충부유나 장물로나 차부디 슈충으로 그랬어 충으로 그랬어 차부 슈충부유나 그래서 장물 슈충부다 차부 슈충부니디 내전내지 인도 잠배 가족 직시체에는 직슈충으로 그래 직슈충에는 직슈체로 해야 돼 고충이랬어 네가 저 캐런 차봐 이 캐런 차들 저장가 저장 계산이 빼디 쉬는 신체제 저장 알아줘 콘로지 사비가리네야 다또 스모디비 차드비가리야 아니 미지 인포메이션 망고지 채원지 거기 직접에 결혼을 지고 말고 그 가두이네 미디데 주요르시제 니주 인포메이션 망고지 채원도 좀 해놓고 되게 생기 마르차디 파종으로 콘로디 축처로 치료를 해치려도 와 전바디 축처로 도와 진나시 리버티 등진을 딘데이나 콘로를 딘데이나 다 담에 또 비셔러려야 뒤에 인포메이션 내배 맞잖아 아니 담에 또 비셔러도 대샤베이나 아니 간데스 열게 두래 제상가 그 담에서 두스콤 대대베이브 증기 핑기요 말이지 답변은 담에 통차비 쇼라 담에 통차비 쇼라 야 리버코고도와 리버코고도 맞지 리버마고 베네 지금도 빼나 말하는 저기 저랑 우마 디 가서 되게 우마다 살아 우마다 말베 우마나로 저랑 shum알리 저랑 이미지 통하지야 저장 우마나로 디어리 년도 다좀 받아 아니 자신 파벌벌이야 아니 똥이 또벌 개박해요 말이스 이나야 전주 선바 쪽 동번이디 아니 리베남랑 타 예배관에 안에 사무당 그래 예세지 뛰었다 어디 그냥 단다 템벌샤 슈마 베지다도 니딘데 지라성 상대니 안교 사무당 디게 가르친 거 열세도 또 랑진진이야 내고 열 다음에 또 시작하고 랑진진 내고 열
랑진진
다 랑진진 내고 열 봐. 대전에 다음에 삼로 리베남랑 타이고 땅고에 뒤차로 다 년도 다좀도 코코지 유조의 레드 녀모는 니 나는 녀모의 차로 녀모 자와데 등진차도 등진 디 숙충으로 땅에 라미제의 추진도 제디 아니 사변 녀모 가서 그래 코와디께 사변 코랑 좀 타버터본데 다 리고 디마도 고야요 말이야 리베남랑 망보고요 말 얘도 고고로 봐 딱 동반이라 공부 대교인 요리비기 진바디 슈체를 땅데 동이 진바디 슈체를 땅 거야 개요마도 슈션데 거 다이네 장선 방관이야 랑진진을 갑자기 자기 된다라 리베남랑 타이버고 공부 시고도 와 어디 지나 어디래도 가 디 이메일 딱 그냥 슈마 디베트 가랑 당나 야 다서당 하고리 어도스레 제가 아주 신의 공부 가을에 계지 시에 가을이야 아니 셀차당 아니 마차시니 시도와 제정강 마차 세미나로 세제용 마차 메두 잠베 아니 셈들 슈요 말스 그 지금 나와만도 누딩이 손로지마도 딜레 또알릭 말스 도와 기치슈디
파리스 영게
도와
그래 디
도와 제정강 셀차당 마차니 나로네 셀차 요랑 마차 메베 가블이야 아니 괜히 가리어스나 그 곰두스 미국가 대대 손로지마도 텔레티네 또 슈침부 기획해요 말스 또 저나 또 기회를 가르쳐는 평행 통고 평행 통야는 김제 공부상으로 말하는 평행 통야 그래요 말고.
Yeah.
드니
어디 진사를
활동 공부 그래서 신의 공부디 활동 다 매듭이 롱와치 담보 문도
어려.
조고래 활동
디데인데.
산다치 또용
다
그렇죠 텐덴시 깨발라스 아니 이게 버르드 제버 숙체버 제고리베스 돈분
제 라동세도 또 제배가는 게 쉬워 봐. 저장가 신의 룹사비 슈고려야 아니 셈 템부 차차비 슈고려 제바치도 제바치다면 나오지요 봐. 단단 아주 제바치다는 셈 템부 맨이 제바치니도 들어와. 다셈 템부 차는 제바치니도 들어와요 봐. 저장가 신의 슈고를 라동시고를 아니 라동기 퇴연들이 제바치지 아니 아주 제조 송제시지도와 제바치 곰 시제 신이 고 용용어라 다당아란 주제적인 용어디 용어로 주 태원도 전에 신이 내종어 송어로 시시고 봐 재산 제조 송제세의 개심물에 송고네 안에 연도 자원을 지금 송해도 드렸다 아드민들이 좀 아니 식다 렌드 제어마도 각게 신규어만 재장하다 렌드를 인트리 라셔나 오케이 다 주주시 말아봐요 오케이 다 one more question
I'll translate that for the others.
oh sorry so
Otherwise they might have trouble understanding. But they might. And so in terms of emptiness and the meditative equipoise on emptiness, and so the what emptiness, we have to cut away the karma and delusion, but specifically in terms of conquering the mental afflictions, then we have to cut away the self-grasping, and we need in order to do that we need the wisdom of emptiness, or the wisdom of selflessness, which is directly the way of engaging with this, a directly opposite way of engaging with this object from the self-grasping. And so you have this wisdom realizing selflessness, and the self-grasping, grasping at the self, and they are sort of mutually the harmed and the harmer, the one which counteracts and the one which is counteracted. And so, a very simple way to understand that is in terms of heat and cold. If we have something which is very hot, and a bucket of water which is very hot, and we pour cold water into it, the cold water starts to reduce the temperature and harm the hot, and vice versa. And so whichever is they have by their very nature, they are mutually kind of contradictory. And so whichever is the stronger will overcome the other one. And this is something that we totally accept. It's nothing new to us. I was also talking yesterday about, in terms of anger, and anger being an unhappy state of mind where we may be unhappy or angry with someone, and then so now I want to talk in terms of the kind of what do we call it, the intensity or clarity, the strength of the apprehension of something, or the intensity of the apprehension of something, narcha. If you're unhappy with somebody and you don't have a lot of information about about that person, but if people come to you and say, well, actually, it's not just you that they did this, they did it to all these other people, the same kind of thing to all these other people as well, then the kind of clarity, the strength or intensity of your anger increases. And so that's a kind of, that apprehension of the person as being bad, and the anger based on it. So first of all, and so in terms of if we bring that example into the realm of selflessness, then after seeing selflessness, we still need to continue to think about reasons related to selflessness. So this comes up in very specifically in the studies on Madhyamaka, where you take the Theravada kind of arhats, and then the Arya Bodhisattvas. And we can say that, certainly if you come from the Prasangika point of view, you can say that there's no difference between them in the way in which they perceive emptiness. But what it says in the text is that in order to attain kind of mere liberation in the Theravada system, you only have to rely on a small number of reasons, supportive reasons to understand emptiness, whereas for the Arya Bodhisattva, it's said in the text that they have to rely on countless kind of reasons to do this. And why is that the case? What does this tell us? What does this inform us? Is that those additional kind of countless reasons related to emptiness are actually harming self-cherishing, and the arhats, because they are only concerned with the overcoming karma and mental afflictions, and very specifically the grasping at the self, which they need to reduce and eventually conquer. So in order to do that, they're able to do that just based on they don't need a vast array of reasons related to selflessness in order to do that. But the Arya Bodhisattvas have to also in the Bodhisattva path, you have to overcome self-cherishing as well. And so I think those extra reasons are also providing with us with another tool to overcome our self-cherishing. And so Rinpoche said that when people come to the topics in Madhyamaka on the debate courtyard, then people will understand this. And so this makes our so in terms of like a clear appearance, what's called selcha, and which is Lobsang Dunya's question is about this selcha, this clarity aspect, and then narcha, this kind of intensity or piercing nature of the strength of stronger and stronger piercing nature of apprehension of a particular object, and putting aside the clear apprehension, which is more related to concentration and shamatha, then in terms of increasing that intensity, we need delight, a kind of joy or delight to engage further and further into these topics. And that only comes from contemplating the reasons why these are, for instance, why it's a positive thing to engage, and contemplating the qualities has to rely on reasons. So you're based in a kind of reasoning, a background of reasoning. You're increasing this clarity and intensity of the apprehension. And then Lobsang Dunya asked just about in terms of the process of giving rise to direct yogic perception. And so it can be done in various ways, but in terms of if we talk about special insight, then it's an analytical state of mind. So there can be the ways in which shamatha and vipassana integrate are varied, but let's say you first of all generate a very stable mind, which allows you to remain focused on an object, but then you bring in the vipassana kind of aspect, the special insight, to start analyzing. And so if you do it like that, where it's almost like shamatha is first attained and then you do vipassana, and then through the vipassana, what you would do is alternating between sessions of analysis and then kind of meditation, which is more kind of placement on the results of your analysis, and then again placement, and then meditation and analysis, analysis and kind of placement. And so as our experience develops with that, then eventually with tremendous experience, that will eventually turn into a direct yogic perception of, say, emptiness or impermanence.
Okay. Stop patient Chasurwa. So we stop here today.
Rinpoche, we have a few more questions, but if Rinpoche...
Okay, I take one more.
One more?
I take one more. Yes.
We have one more from Brazil. So Venerable Namdro will ask it on behalf of the person who doesn't speak that well English. Venerable Namdro,
Okay.
could you please unmute yourself?
Good morning, Rinpoche. So I'm just going to translate. The question is from Germana. So good morning, everyone. My question refers to the third noble truth, the truth of cessation. Chogyam Trungpa quotes in his book that the truth of cessation is a personal discovery. It is not mystical and has no religious or psychological connotations. It is simply your experience. So if you pour boiling water in your hand, this is a personal experience, you get hurt. Based on that statement, how can you experience the Four Noble Truths as a real experience and not just as intellectual or theoretical experience, discovery? Thank you.
Okay. Simon. So who?
Chogyam Trungpa.
Chogyam Trungpa. Okay.
Here we are. The truth of cessation, because of the Gope Demba ki core, and the Gope Demba ki Susuki kare personal discovery kare ko Susuki. It's not chug kejam hades or mystic the mystical mare. Ani because sem come ripa than Demba mare ko nyamnyong and jaware. Katu the nyamnyong. Ani kena nanza chu the chu sao shibu the ibine nanza nakala pata luina ani nanza sawa de katu the nyoy res chezan digi nanzu digi dembashi de denzuki susuki nyongwa zuki susu kasade namdok sam the keja mebeche lodok sam the keja mebeche and susuki nyamnyongi nyamnyon nanjare kandas jagdus the doshi.
Okay. 다 추점 충바세바 추점 충배기 숭들이 계지만요. 언제단에 밑균이 권요 언제상가 그런 숭도서 심을 편보다 야고 여르셨거든요. 다 강한 따르장 다 된다 운에디 가리면디 게 세우신 말에 이내 다 고단직이야. 저장가 덴버시디 덴버시기 나는데 덴버니디 아주 다 원신고에 사버레마도 덴버 당분이디 냠량 아주 뷰 타고 싶죠. 그봐. 저장가 디 엑스퍼트를 아주 다디 밀게지 되고 말에 저장가 예측을 붙이기 가르송을 열었잖아. 세디기 등진대당 아니 세디기 요모니 디기 저와디 경아마 유매의 치마 유매 사무당고요 말다 다가랑 세 다가나로 말한 지그 쭉 리피트 그래서 공송기
알레오 능승기요
디송도와 아디 계신부를 가죠 다 말한 줄이야 리피트 줍지 땡을 파고야지 디 가르고르스나 요모 시주 요르베 세티 다 저들이 요모 세주 요르베 세 저디 땅 아주 벨을 샤운드 전에 다 벨을 때 잘해 요르바 그러봐 다 벨을 샤운드 전에 아니 지기 가르쳐 그래 말한 줄 남샤준도 쉬우지 가디에기 최지인베이나 아니 부춘주인의 신도가 아니 당보디 가서 그랬디 콜네기 요버디 시랑 하먹어도 전에 아니 콜야디 야고 매바다 디네기 요버디 디시야고 잡도 거기 수만에 맞춰지 용도 야 그러봐 다디 가르쳐 그랬다 아주 마소네 고대 손잡지 삼당베이나 단연이야 디기 고대마요라 아니 디 공복도 아니야 공지된 거도 우춘지 쪽을 마사 소르도 소르나 저랑 갑제도 저랑 배 시부지기 암지기 갑 때문에 나금이 누구 했을때 아니 부 재미하고 디기도 와 야 얘네야 삼보디 제도도 좀 배양 고쪽을 쓰니 저 삼로령도 좀 배양 쪽을 쓰는 야고메 버지기야 신의 랍보고도 제가 람라 랍 제가 좀 전에 식디하고 쉽지 배주 당나요 돔디 제가 동해 시고레스 아주 동해 시기요 말이 진짜 동해 시고레 송고요 봐 저라 아니 제가 동해 시도다음에 동해 규디 가이드요 삼로탄 동해 규빵고레스 빵야요레스 동해 규 오늘 전에 빵야데 가르레스나 라르 미제비 추진치네 빵야데레스 라르 게임에 서버드레스 대랑 고densi 요레스 고densi야디 아니 바르베두부도와 개치준이 단지 주변이시 르베두베트 제장 공공계 줍지 그러와 당진당 데메도비 셔럽니 공공계 줍지 아니 고 담에도비 셔럽 마손에 야 슈처를 두디 아니 당지 세주 요비지 삼로도 아주 로를 녀버치 보도와 디인도 좀 했다 되네 가르쳐 그래 담에도비 셔럽 공부할 때네 아니 가르쳐 그래 뉴모 충으로 줘야 지다 일단 아주 정부 시에비나 섬내고 다나 또 지체 다가라라 공주도 지 때문에 오송군 영화세야 단도 저 가고래데 얘나야 동반이 섬도 스타원인데 셈나로래야 저기 점벌회로 두고 여기다 아주 셰토도 왔다
흘러도 오시도
누가 제장도 저딩 알아줘 오송군 영화래 제장가야 저기 다 고된 지tum바당 람 지tum바 세야디 계시고 말이데 가서 또 지tum바 손으로 계시고 때 운에다 계시고 말봐 또그 배송으로지 단 주중 통배기 손으로지나 배로 송고 줄마도 전에 고된 신이데 딘데 뇨모방비 고된 계시고 말에 아니 고된 신이데 간주 배를 예배 고된 신이버에 송고 줄 말에 제장가 고된 신이데 가라도 삼로 코리아라 얘라야 아니 그 리포트 당지야 드랙 탑시지 제고로 봐 제장가 그 유무신이디 뻥규여데메 딜레년부터 된 여데메 년부터 된 temper이나 너버 야 지기 까투베 당진기 사변 거랑 아니 뭐좀 두고 여데메 스타 되종아 저리 두고 봐 다디 베젠티 송구 메로 제장가 최종 총백이 송당 최종 총백에 규면은 내디 야 최종 총백이 공부 가리면 이些图말이 제장가 강다르경 개치슈디 어란주 오송귀 어란주 오송귀 영화래야 아니 당면도 비 곰시도 대도 준비 등진 충루루도 두면도 충루 당신도 신면도 냐라 당고 당야 용마로 냐 당신으로 와 어도저 또 지기 공부시는 야고면도 그지 알았어
So, of course, it's very difficult for me to say exactly what Chogyam Trungpa was thinking when he wrote this, but I'll give a few thoughts of mine on it. And I've heard I heard very good things about Chogyam Trungpa, and I've heard that his works are of tremendous benefit. But I don't know exactly what he had in mind when he made that statement. But perhaps a way to think about it, I can give you a way to think about this particular thing you're talking about, getting experience, personal experience. So if we take the Four Noble Truths, two of the Noble Truths, the truth of the path and truth of cessation, are new to us. But the other two truths, we know them, we are expert. No, we don't need to ask someone else about these. We're expert in the truth of suffering and the truth of the cause of suffering. So in Gyaltsab J, there's a point where he says that forget about past and future life. Forget about trying to establish the relationship between self-grasping in this life and suffering and negative emotions in the next life. In this very life, it's possible. He says it's possible to directly establish with direct cognition that the relationship between self-grasping and the mental afflictions and
체디기 당진당 체디기 동행이 디버로야 저 중앙 송도 대상한 거라는지 배나 삼로 땅땅 노벌 겐지 배나 밀 롱템바다 아니 콘로사지 니주두시 농일 하바디 삼로 땅도 시야 대비나 아 조 얘기 셈마 뒤버디기 다 용유여바다 셈마 뒤비기 자와디 거와린스나 아 신이디 셴바 슈치비 겐기 용유여바디 땅아란 주비야 르비기 되는 좀투도스.
So we can, and this is quite, quite visible to us when we, get very angry, and we can see that increases.
사면 kunzu 보고요나. kunzu di 위로 디직 통해면으로 차수.
수.
누구에?
두. kunzu 두.
누구에? 아는 뜻이야. 얘도 통으로. 오케이.
Here. You hear? Yeah. You can hear?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of course.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So you can see this. You increase in anger and losing our temper produces directly visible suffering to us, and we can sort of trace that back a little bit into to see how just on a regular level how to see how a strong sense of I or self then leads us into that process of increased suffering. So Gyaltsab is saying that you can see that it's possible. It's difficult, but it's possible to make that relationship between strong self-grasping and increased suffering, not in relation to future lives, but this life. What do we need? What are the other things that we need? We need to find a way to think about whether mental afflictions can be completely abandoned. What we have to do, so we have to think about whether they can be completely abandoned, and we have to find ways of cultivating. We have to find ways of because the complete abandonment of the mental afflictions and therefore would be to talk about the truth of cessation, which Chogyam Trungpa was talking about. In order to understand this, we have to build a habit of understanding it. So, for instance, this is not something that great practitioners need to be referenced on. Small children, we can understand it in terms of an example of small children who, telling them not to do something which is bad for them or bad for their health. For instance, not to eat chocolate. And they may receive advice from doctors or whatever about something that they need not to do in order to protect themselves and their health. But it's easy for them to forget, and again they need to be advised and reminded of that. So we have to cultivate a habit of thinking about these things. The Buddha has also, in terms of making it a personal experience, the Buddha has a very direct, he says to us, know the suffering, because actually, know it in its entirety. We don't, nanzu dunya shebachas and nanzu di rimshi di jisong, right? And nanzu denbani tamboni di nanzu ratu sare, yene dunya shebachas and kabaduchi ki dunya the
di ratu yo marwa pena dungi shebachas du dungi ki yong dungi tang pena ngaranju dungi li yaji chebala mita dungi tong da meba shili yo ko ma che ko to dungi di yago chung shin tu marwa jezanga dungi shebachas labje dire do.
So yeah, I mean, when I talked earlier, I mentioned we're very familiar with suffering and the causes of suffering, but we're not, when the Buddha says to us, know the suffering, there's no other way to know what he's talking about here unless we relate that to the four aspects of the First Noble Truth: impermanent, suffering, empty, and selfless. And so we have to make a direct link. So in terms of thinking about cessation, we have to try and make we're talking about the cessation where all all of the kind of mental afflictions and self-grasping have been caused to cease, and also it's a state where it will never arise again. Ceased by, and they will never, there'll be an irreversible process of the abandonment of the negative emotions and self-grasping. And that's what we mean by cessation. And this is possible for us to establish this through reason. For instance, the primary reason being that the direct antidote, direct counteractive force to the grasping itself is the understanding of the wisdom of selflessness, or the wisdom of emptiness, and therefore that with the complete and that they're directly contradictory. And so if we're able to fully develop the wisdom of emptiness, we're able to fully clear away the self-grasping. And therefore, if you have the relationship between this life, between the self-grasping and the suffering, then you can see how you can attain a state completely free of all suffering. And also, but where we need to start ourselves is just to see how, if we think about selflessness a little bit, how it may slow down our mental afflictions, how contemplating emptiness may cause us for our grasping to just kind of loosen and decrease a little bit. That's the way that we start to make this relationship. So I think in the end, what Chogyam Trungpa is doing is giving us, he's giving, we need a key into the topics such as the truth of cessation, which are very hard to understand. And so I think he's giving what we call a jetumba, a similitude of the path, the similitude of the cessation, like something which is similar, but it's not the actual thing, for us to engage and attune to the later truths. So that's so here again we're talking about cutting away, and that's how we. So what I think that's what he's doing. But eventually, when we talk about the real cessation, we're talking about how all the mental afflictions are abandoned, and we look at the reasons which establish how we can cut the very root of those mental afflictions. We can cut away at the root of those mental afflictions. So I'm not sure of Chogyam Trungpa's exact meaning. I wouldn't like to say exactly what he meant, but if we can look at the relationship between, if we think about and cultivate understanding of emptiness, does our self-grasping reduce or not? That would be a very good way for us to engage with this.
Okay, so thank you very much. You guys can see me. I can't see any of you. Maybe something technical problem.
Yes, Rinpoche, we can see you.
Okay. Okay, then no problem. Okay, so now this time we stop here, and hopefully we meet again, and maybe get an opportunity to discuss about bodhicitta, emptiness, and impermanence, and renunciation. So I'm looking forward, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to express what I know little. It comes from my teacher, and so thank you so much for giving me to share what I learned from my teacher, and so this kind of a contribution I made, and we all made all together. We have built a merit together. So due to this, we pray that His Holiness live very, very long, at least 113, as he has promised, or that is said by the great lamas. So we all bring all this merit together for the one big purpose, which is we need His Holiness to live very, very long, to the survival of the Buddha Dharma, and for our welfare. And then each and individually we have our own gurus and the teachers. May all these great masters live very long. And then most important is we need to have confidence in ourselves to do more practice and see more benefit of due to the practicing what our gurus have asked us that we see some improvement in our life. And may that we may never make a sin out of any kind of small things. So we have to think about that too. So we are going to do the dedication prayer. So we will do that. And once again, I thank Tushita and all there are a few translators. And then Simon, thank you very much. And Anikunpela and Pamela and the whole Tushita group, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the rest of all you, all together we made this the days of miracle, one part of a miracle. So thank you for that. Thank you. And now let's do the dedication.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. So kind of Rinpoche for joining us. Rinpoche, could we offer also with the Brazilian Center a Thanksgiving mandala? Because Rinpoche might have noticed we have Venerable Sayana from Italy, has been translating for Instituto Lama Tsongkhapa, Venerable Paloma for the Spanish Center. And the first one that joined us was actually Venerable Nandro. She suggested that the Brazilian centers join. So she would also like to, on behalf of the Brazilian centers, offer a mandala with us. So the cause that Rinpoche goes to Brazil very soon, isn't it?
Yes.
She's nodding.
Yes. Yeah. Thank
you. May my venerable Lama's life be firm, with wide divine actions spread in the 10 directions. May the torch of the teachings of Losang always remain, dispelling the darkness of all beings in the 3 realms. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamyayatayami. And the dedication prayers.
Okay.
Antonin, can you put them up? Having thoroughly investigated in accord with all that I've heard, day and night, through the 4 reasonings, mind born of reflection on these topics of contemplation, may this discernment sever all doubts. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain until samsara ends. In all my lives, never be separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the ground and path, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with a dedication praised as the best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. When my heart's going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I revere this treasure of happiness and aid. Antonin, could you please put the long life prayer up for Rinpoche? Sorry, Rinpoche, technical glitch.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I start, Rinpoche, without the screen.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, now it's coming. I'm sorry, Rinpoche. Om Swasti, may all be auspicious. O charming lady of 7 eyes, supreme mother of the triumphant, exceptional deities skilled in bringing a great rain to fall on the actual attainments of deathless long life, positive potential and deep awareness, please grant here and now the utmost in fulfilling the aims of my prayers. By the force of your matchless, dedicated heart to uphold these teachings, may you have a long life to further the essence of the deep and extensive guidelines that the able ones taught, as a Lord wielding power over the ocean of reasoning and speech, as a lamp for the teachings of the excelled-minded, for the sake of leading to a state of peerless, enduring bliss, all wandering beings oppressed through the bondage, through their compulsions and disturbing minds. May you live a long life, fulfilling all infinite hopes through the extensive deeds of your stainless three enigmatic gates. May your dedicated heart once more reach out to strive in serving the triumphant one's teachings through the three pure rounds. I request you long to remain as our guiding light for wandering beings, in accord with your will in the land of disciples in every direction. By the power of the inspiration from the host of lamas, deities, and protectors, by the force of truth of the non-fallacious dependent arising, by the strength of regard from the exceptional resolve of myself and others, may all the aims of my prayers be exactly and fully fulfilled. Please, please, Rinpoche, live long and teach us until samsara ends. Please, please, Rinpoche, join us very, very soon again, online or in person at Tushita, so many people can benefit all around the world. Thank you so much, Rinpoche. On this auspicious day of Chutar Duchen, it has been a great honor to listen to Rinpoche's wisdom and compassion. Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will try my best. You all, we all have to move on. And so I think all of you do the same, and I will try my best. If there is any tiny bit of what I say something from my mouth, it is kind of like the parrot saying "Om Mani Padme Hum," but if there is a benefit, for sure, then I'm ready to give my my body, mind, speech to you all. I will try my best to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See you soon. Take care, everybody. So due to this pandemic thing, we should not take any stress, but precautions. So try to do that and take lots of advantage what we can take advantage from this pandemic, and something that sometimes we never get opportunity, we will get from this opportunity. So I wanted to just remind you that, and hopefully this pandemic thing goes away and we all meet face to face very soon. So until then, you all take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye-bye, Rinpoche.
Okay. Thank you
so much.
I think Rinpoche left. So Rinpoche left. So I wanted to take the opportunity to thank again so much Venerable Siljana from Italy. Thank you so much, Venerable Siljana. Venerable Paloma for the Spanish centers, Venerable Nandro and all the interpreters and translators for the Brazilian centers, and of course Simon Lang. I'm not sure if Simon Lang is still here. Thank you so much. Without you, this would not happened. Then I wanted to thank all of you for joining us, because without you this would have not happened. There would have been no need to make requests to those amazing teachers. So thank you so much. You joined us, many of you joined us for the whole 16 days since Lothar. It was an amazing time. At least for me, it was an amazing time to see you every day. So I very much enjoyed, and I think we created mountain skies of merit together. So let's not forget that. And I wanted also to thank the Tushita team. So Pamela, who's already rushing off to another mission to Delhi right now on a night bus. Antonin, our tech guy. Thank you so much, Antonin, Arian, who does our social media. Thank you so much, Tushita team. And yeah, so please remember, today is a day of miracles, the day of offerings. So Tushita is relying on dana. So if you have the mind of generosity, you're most welcome also to make a contribution, as Venerable Pamela, she will laugh, Pamela, who is very vulnerable, but not yet in the clothes and in the vows. As she mentioned beforehand, you might have not just joined. We put the link to our website right there in the chat. So Tushita is an NGO, so we rely on offerings from our kind students, and by nature we didn't have any savings before the pandemic. So if you wanted to make any offerings, please feel welcome. Also, please check out our program. Tomorrow we have the 17th day of miracle, so to say. We invented it for Jimmy Neal will give another beautiful story time on Lama Yeshe. Yeah, remember on Losar Day we honored Lama Yeshe's parinirvana. So Jimmy Neal, who knew Lama Yeshe very well, will join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So he's our 17th day of miracle. I'm sure the Buddha predicted him, and the happies and the hippies. Venerable Sayana is smiling. So we are looking very much forward to that. We are not quite ready to say goodbye to you. Then we start our introductory courses. Our resident teacher just returned to Tushita yesterday in person. And then we have already many guest teachers. So Geshe Zopala will join us for the 8 verses of mind transformation. Geshe Dorje Damdola from Tibet House, the director, will join us. Also, Venerable Robina will join us for an intermediate course on death. So we have loads of perks already planned for you. And from May onwards, we will see if we can open residentially or we continue online. And we hope you can join us in whichever way is most beneficial. We will see. Thank you so much, everybody. And it was great seeing you all around the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Have a beautiful day of offerings, Shutrajutsen. And yes, see you very soon again. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Kumpela, for organizing everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Muito obrigada.
So
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kumpela. Friends in Israel, thank you so much for supporting us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Venerable Sejana. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Venerable Nangro. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tushita.
Thank you. Good night. Bye, Gilala.